The desire is as old as humanity itself, to change our state of being, to feel less pain, less anxiety, less fear, to feel more joy, more confidence, more connection, to feel something different. This desire has built empires and inspired art, but it has also been targeted, packaged, and sold as a shortcut, a chemical promise. This is the story of that promise and the price it demands when the shortcut becomes a prison. It all begins here, in the ancient primal part of our brain responsible for survival and pleasure, the reward pathway. Its primary currency is a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Eating, love, success, these things provide a natural release of dopamine, telling our brain, this is good. Do this again. Most psychoactive substances don't just nudge this system, they hijack it, they create a neurological tsunami. Alcohol, the world's most accessible drug, leverages a neurotransmitter called GABA to pump the brakes on the central nervous system. It lessens anxiety, stress, and fear. It reduces social inhibition. It provides a sense of relaxation, a chill-out effect. Stimulants like cocaine take the opposite approach. They floor the accelerator, increasing dopamine activity by up to 360%. It speeds up messages in the brain, creating arousal, alertness, and intense euphoria. And opioids, perhaps the most seductive of all, convert to morphine in the brain, binding to receptors that regulate pain. They don't just block physical pain, they erase emotional pain. They deliver a surge of warmth, a soft landing into a world where nothing hurts. This is the promise. The reason these substances are so powerful, they offer a seemingly reliable shortcut to a desired state. Courage in a bottle, confidence in a powder, peace in a pill. For a time they work, until the brain begins to adapt. The brain is a master of adaptation. It strives for balance, a state called homeostasis. When it is repeatedly flooded with unearned dopamine and artificial tranquility, it begins to fight back. It rewires itself. This is tolerance. The initial dose no longer produces the same effect. More of the substance is needed to achieve the same high. The user starts chasing that first perfect feeling, a feeling they will likely never attain again. Slowly, the brain becomes so dependent on the drug to function that it can no longer produce its own sense of normalcy without it. The user is no longer taking the drug to feel good, they are taking it to stop feeling bad. This is the prison of dependence, and its walls are made of withdrawal. Withdrawal from depressants like alcohol and benzodiazepines is arguably the most dangerous. Because the brain has been artificially suppressed for so long, its rebound is ferocious. When the substance is removed, the system that has been fighting to stay alert goes into overdrive. The mild symptoms are severe anxiety and tremors. The severe symptoms can be fatal. About 5% of those in severe alcohol withdrawal will experience delirium tremens, or DTs. It is a state of profound psychosis, vivid hallucination, snakes, spiders, phantom people. In the early 20th century, it was called seeing the pink elephants. Without medical treatment, the mortality rate can be as high as 37%. Benzodiazepines, or benzos, work on the same GABA system as alcohol and can produce a nearly identical life-threatening withdrawal. For decades, these so-called chill pills were prescribed with little understanding of their addictive potential. While a lifesaver for acute panic, long-term use can create a dependence so severe that sufferers call the withdrawal a living nightmare, a state of relentless panic and neurological chaos that can last for months or even years. Withdrawal from stimulants like cocaine won't typically cause seizures, but it comes with its own torment. The tsunami of dopamine is followed by a devastating crash. The symptoms are intensely psychological, crippling depression, agitation, and a craving so profound it can override all rational thought. And then there is opioid withdrawal. While not as directly life-threatening as alcohol withdrawal, it is notoriously agonizing. As one former user described it, it's like a demon crawling out of you. You'd rather just die and be done with it. The body aches, the chills, the vomitingit is days of relentless flu-like misery. Once through the physical torture, the user is left with a brain that has forgotten how to produce its own joy, leading to months of deep depression. This biological prison has a vast, sprawling economy built around it, a war fought on multiple fronts, in corporate boardrooms, on city streets, and at international borders. The war often begins with marketing. Nicotine, which hijacks the dopamine system with remarkable efficiency, was sold for decades by doctors in advertisements. The global tobacco market now generates nearly $1 trillion in revenue annually, built on a product that researchers estimate will kill 1 billion people this century. In the 1990s, this playbook was repeated. Pharmaceutical companies marketed new opioid painkillers like OxyContin, with marketing campaigns that wrongly assured doctors and patients that they were not highly addictive. It was heroin in an ice box treated like an essential oil. The result was a catastrophe. The United States, a nation of 330 million, began consuming the vast majority of the world's opioids. A 2018 study found that 75% of recreational opioid users started with a legitimate prescription. When the government cracked down, millions of already addicted Americans from all walks of life were cut off. They went to the streets. The streets were ready to meet the demand. Cocaine trafficking, now a global enterprise with supply lines run by violent international cartels, flooded cities. But an even greater danger was emerging: synthetic opioids. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, is cheap to produce and easy to traffic, often from Chinese labs through Mexican cartels. Just 2 milligrams, the equivalent of a few grains of salt, can be a lethal dose. In 2023, drug overdoses killed over 112,000 Americans, a number equivalent to a fully loaded 737 crashing every single day. The vast majority of these deaths involved fentanyl, and now a fourth wave is crashing ashore. Fentanyl is being mixed with xylazine, a veterinary tranquilizer for horses known on the street as Tranq. Never approved for human use, Tranq causes necrotic skin, ulcers, flesh-eating wounds that can lead to amputation. It's a central nervous system depressant, but traditional opioid overdose reversal drugs like Narcan don't work on it. This is the American nightmare. The final consequence of the chemical promise. A landscape of human beings trapped in the prison of addiction, ravaged by a war they never signed up for. It is a crisis of medicine, of economics, and of the human spirit, and it began with a simple universal desire to feel different. The shortcut always demands payment, and the price is paid not just by the individual, but by all of us. Understanding the depth of this prison biological, psychological, and socialist, the only way to begin charting a path out